welcome back to Living Overseas with Ease. So, after our last episode, I know you got a bit, you got to know me a little bit more. So, in this episode, I just decided, let's dive in a little bit more about my background so that you can understand why it is, I know you got my why, but now you get to know why it is even deeper that I decided to make such a bold move, right? So, because the one thing I understand about this space in this world is yeah, building trust isn't just an overnight thing. It takes some time. So I would rather take my time and just build this journey up with you so that you can really, really have a deeper understanding as to why I decided to shift my life and start to live overseas with ease. So, who am I? Right? Like you heard, I'm Cameroonian, I'm American, I grew up in the Northeast. Yes, I have sickle cell as well too, and those things are definitely important pieces that played into why I decided to leave the US. Um, so I'm going to start with the basics. Like, what do I do, right? Like, what is it that I do? Well, you see them on here, so you can tell that I'm a content creator. So that's one thing. But this is actually more just like fun. This is not the main thing that I do. I do this because this is fun. This is easeful for me. It's something that I wanted to do as well too, to basically, show people out there who are looking for someone like themselves. Because let's be honest, representation is real. And we do need representation, even in the travel space, even in the moving space, right? It's necessary. But what do I really, really do? Well, I'm glad you asked. So I'm a multi hyphenate. I said that before. I'm a creative. I love working with my hands. I've been a multi hyphenate creative for my literally entire life. But I decided years ago to basically get into the wellness space, to get into personal development. And I've been doing personal development for literally over 2 decades. I've had a few businesses. Like I said before, I actually had an event management company that I no longer have. I let that go because of some personal things that happened there. I've actually been a jewelry designer as well too, jewelry and home goods designer. I like to make stuff. Having that background in fashion design and marketing helps. As you see, I am definitely a fashion femme in that way. I have worked in the industry as well too, but my heart and joy comes into personal development. And the reason why personal development was so important to me is because it's what I needed. I wish I had mentors that were actually able to guide me along my way, give me sound advice, not necessarily tell me what to do, but to give me sound advice on how to move forward. It's been hard for me in that manner. I have not had actually legit mentors, maybe one or two period within my life in a very short stints of time. So when it came down to a lot of the personal development, when it came down to a lot of the healing that I personally had to do, I basically personally had to do it. I had to find spaces and places in order to answer my questions, in order to deal with past issues, past traumas, past abuses, right? Decisions that I've made, why I am the way I am, being extremely neurospicy as well is the other thing that kind of pushed me into personal development because I wanted to know. I wanted to know myself. I wanted to know me better. And so after getting to know me better, and I'm still always getting to know me because we're always evolving as a person. But after, doing a lot of work, a lot of healing, get really diving into my personal development, diving into my emotional intelligence, my desire was to heal. I'm just going to say that straight up. And my desire is always to heal, not just me. Me, of course, was the first and foremost person because I needed to be able to be good with me. I needed to be able to look me in the face in the mirror and be all right with me because there was some points in time in my life I was not all right with me. I can never say that I hated myself, but I didn't like me in some respects. And it's because of all the different things that I had gone through, right? Growing up, I went to private school. I went to PWI from majority of my life, actually, PWI majority of my life, but then I went to a PWI religious or Christian school. And that was a hot mess. That was a hot mess. And that did a lot. That did a whole lot in shaping the way I saw myself in the way that I was dealt with as well too. And so I wanted to find a way in order to make me better is what happened. And that ended up just translating over into my personal work. So yeah, like I said, I've worked in the fashion industry. I was a backstage manager and, helped to run shows, create shows, produce shows. I was doing that stuff. I was a personal stylist as well too. Still love it. But I'm a personal stylist as well too. But like my main thing that I do now is personal development. And where do I do that at? I'm glad you asked because I'm an entrepreneur and I do own my own business. Again, this isn't like my first business I've owned. So I'm not new to this entrepreneurship road. I am very much so true to this. This is how I figured out what I like, what I want to do, what I don't want to do, what I'm willing to do, what I'm willing to compromise on, what I'm willing to collaborate on, was all through this road of entrepreneurship. And interesting enough, entrepreneurship actually helped with my personal development. Because I literally tell people, if you really want to understand yourself, and again, I do not believe that everyone should be an entrepreneur. Like, it's not a thing. I don't think everyone needs to quit their day jobs and then like go find something to do. I know that with the way the economy is, the way things are right now, currently in the US, having a side gig, a side hustle is absolutely real. But I don't believe that those things always have to become like your main bread and butter. If you wanted to, by all means, please do so. Follow your heart in that space, right? So for me, I'm an entrepreneur. I do personal development. I work with what I like to call mids and mages. And what is a mid and a mage? A mid is someone who has multiple marginalized identities. And yes, I came up with the acronym. I did not come up with the wording, but I did come up with the acronym. And then mages, you can actually find the terminology online as well too. A mage is just someone who has a marginalized gender. And so throughout my personal development, I started to recognize that I was both a mid and a mage, that I embody both being a Black, queer, chronically ill, disabled femme. My intersecting identities made it very real of me being a mid and a mage. The other reason I decided to become an entrepreneur as well, and I'm just going to be very honest, it was because me in corporate America and me in the job market, the way it was, we weren't getting along. We weren't getting along. And it's not because I wasn't a good employee. I have never, and I can honestly, truthfully say this, I have never gotten let go from a job or fired from a job because of performance. Never, not once. It's never happened. If anything, I always excelled. I always excelled in my positions. I always excelled in the jobs that I had. I always excelled. The problem was because of how I come across to people within these corporate spaces, even nonprofit spaces as well too, people found me to be intimidating. That was the word that was always used towards me, that I was intimidating. And this is something that I've actually had to deal with since I was young, honestly. I remember when I was younger, instead of the word intimidating, because you're a child, people would call me bossy. And so that played into my life quite a bit. And I had to learn that I'm not bossy. Yes, I'm a boss. That's always true. But I'm not bossy. What it is that I have leadership skills. And I've been having leadership skills. And my leadership skills have shown since I was a child. I was, within the organizations that I was in within like middle school and going into high school, I was actually always given a role or elected into a position of leadership. And this is the thing, not by myself. People elected me into these positions. So I've always had leadership skills. It's just that when you look like me and you have dark skin and you embody these multiple marginalized intersecting identities, like being, like I said, Black, being queer, being someone who has a chronic illness and a disability, they do not expect you to come across the way I do. They don't expect the confidence as well. They don't expect, you to have a good head on your shoulders or to know whatever, like to actually know what it is you're talking about, right? And in business rounds. So I always had a problem when it came down to corporate jobs and spaces because I understood systems. I could see systems as well too. I could see inefficiencies, and there were a lot of jobs that I saw a lot of efficiencies. And what I slowly had to come to realize is that people don't like when you're talking about the inefficiencies within the systems that they are using. Who knew? Chuck that up to my neurospices, right? People don't like seeing inefficiencies. People don't like, or they don't like hearing about the inefficiencies within their systems. And so that got me in trouble many times. And also for the sake that, because I also did not just let people talk to me any which type of way. I didn't care if you were my boss or not. I was not going to let you trample on my humanity. No, not ever, not ever. And as you can kind of see, you know, people didn't like that. People didn't like that I have a mouth on me, and that I knew what I was talking about, and that when it came down to it, I was right. That happened many times that I was right about a lot of things. But people want to be ashy out here in these streets, like my business coach would say, right? People like to be ashy out here. And so I always just wrestled when it came down to working for other people in corporate spaces because of this clash of values and clash of ideals. And the funny thing is this, I never had it in my mind to gun after someone's job. I didn't care about having my manager's position. I was always there as a means to an end because I knew that there was something else I wanted. I just also understood that I needed to pay bills. And that was just very real. So to me, work was like a means to an end. So because of that, because of how I showed up, it just became a very big clash in multiple ways. So whenever I did get fired or let go, people were always using excuses. Like there was nothing ever legit on the books. And mind you, for a good portion of time, I did live in Florida. In Florida, if you know anything about it, is a right to work state. So they don't have to have a reason to let you go. You can just walk into work one day and they be like, yeah, we just don't think you're a good fit anymore. And this could be like 2 years later, right? Like that's how it is. So I found a workaround, and my workaround was being an entrepreneur because I loved being creative. I loved being able to, it's not even so much that I love being my own boss. It wasn't that. I just liked having a sense of control of how my day went. And I liked having the ability to do the things that I really loved and to pour into those things. Hence why I even have an event management company. I love doing that. I love doing fashion as well too. But within it, in all of these spaces, I kept running into the same issue was people's lack of personal development. Even if they were business owners, even if they weren't the person running, even if they weren't in management or in leadership, I kept seeing personal development, problems. That's what I was running into. And people didn't want to take the time to sit there and actually have to really do personal development stuff. So I got into DEI. I was doing I was doing that. I was doing consulting with that as well too. I was doing a bit of business consulting. And I was doing a lot of this stuff freelance wise, for a good portion of time, mind you, while working some sort of job. But it finally came down to a point in time that I was just like, I can't do this anymore. I can't be in these spaces because it's causing me way too much harm. Like people just don't want to get me. People are always threatened by me. I don't understand why. I don't get it. Well, I do. But people were always threatened by me and I could not advance the way I wanted to advance. And so I kept running into these problems. So I knew that I also, because of my family lineage history, the way we were, entrepreneurship was in my family tree. And it was like very much so immediate to me. And on top of that, I love business. I just have to be honest. I really do love business. So it was a both and for me. It was a perfect marriage of I can really learn business, get into business, do it for myself, do it well, and do it in a way that does not cause harm. Because that was the issue that was like the big issue is how much harm was being doled out towards me all the time. I was being used, I was being extracted from because people love my brilliance. They love my ideas. They love the way I was able to execute a lot of things. But man, If they could get it in a different body, if they could have gotten it in a white body, it would have been perfect for them. But for the sake that they got it in this Cameroonian American, Black, queer, chronically ill, disabled femme body, they distanced themselves in many ways and dismissed me multiple times over. And I was tired of it. So I said, fuck it, literally. And I deuced out and I did my own thing. And I've been doing my own thing. So I actually do have my own business. And in that space, people call me the resourceful liberator because what I do is always about liberation, point blank period. And having that type of, energy towards me, people don't, like I said, people don't really know how to handle that or what to do with it. So I did because it's me and I love me and I don't play about me. So I started my own business. I had, like I said, I had multiple before, but honing down into the thing that I really wanted to do, it was personal development, specifically for mids and mages who have been going through the same ish that I've been going through in that way, and who were basically really seeking their liberation, but needed real, tangible ways on how to make it a reality and not just some far off dream. It's like, how do we make this tangible today, right now? That's what I do. I'm very woo-woo, but I'm very practical. Like, I need to let's ground this thing because I need to make this actionable. I'm not sitting here just trying to daydream and that's it. I want to make an impact in my life and I want to make an impact in the life of others. And I see the way a lot of mids and mages are out here struggling. And the sad thing is this, we're educated. Oh my gosh. If I tell you, and especially neurospicy, if I tell you the statistics, we are so educated, but because we can't get the inroads in order to get like a good job, and if we do, a lot of times we have to mask to get a good job. So that was one of the things is that I wasn't masking. I had stopped masking and didn't even realize it for quite some time. So because I was just showing up as me, as Fulei, that's who I'm showing up as. People didn't know how to handle that because I'm not masking. So yeah, you can see the way, my face looks and everything like that as well too. You may get a few little looks here and there. I'm not going to hide it, but at the same time, I'm also not out here just chopping people up. I'm very observant. I'm paying attention to stuff, but people don't think that I'm paying attention to things, and I'm picking up on things that they're not picking up on as well too. So that pattern recognition, very, very real. Hence, inefficiencies, gaps in systems. I saw that all, and it was annoying. It was absolutely annoying. And I knew that I wanted transformation in my personal life. And I know that there are mids and mages out there who want transformation in their life. Hence why personal development, I feel, is a way in order to get that, to help guide people to be able to get to the transformation that they need. However, the thing that definitely supported me within this as well too was also learning and understanding my love of community. Hey, hey, hey. So if you really like that video and you want to get the rest of the details and the tea on what it's like for me living overseas with ease and what it took for me to transition from the US outside, then do me a favor. Go subscribe to the Patreon because that's where you're going to get all the details. You're going to get all the stories and you're going to get this entire series of what it's like for me actually living overseas with ease. So catch me in my community over there in the Patreon, and I look forward to seeing you. Till next time, peace.